Whilst we were bang in the middle of our recent video series on goal setting and goal getting, I got an email from one of the Easian readers, hopefully you're watching this now, asking me could I do a video on, and I'm going to quote this because it says it all, how you can live a healthy life when surrounded by so much toxicity. Toxicity comes in all shapes and sizes. For a start, we very often bring toxicity onto ourselves by imbibing it. What I mean is smoking and drinking alcohol. When you poison your own system is not going to be healthy. You can't live a healthy life when you're taking in stuff that is in effect toxic. That's the first point I'd make. But I suspect the request that I have more relates to the toxicity that surrounds us when we meet what my wife calls the energy snatchers or the energy vampires, people who are bad for us. Funnily enough, just before I sat down to make this video, myself and my wife were talking about a couple of people that we had been with a while ago in their house. I have referred to them a couple of times in my infamous normal people stories. These people were entertaining at one point, but they're now toxic and are not very good at taking a hint that we don't want to see them anymore. And the reason I mention them is that that is the point that we are trying to get across to them. We don't want to see them anymore. There are two things that you can do with toxic people. Number one, you can work on them in the hope that your rising tide will rise their boat. Because, as quantum physics tells us, energy is contagious. As psychology tells us, mood is contagious. My mood affects your mood. If I am a positive, outgoing, energetic person, that will rub off on you. My charisma or my presence will have an effect on you. And of course, the exact opposite holds true too. So the first thing I can do with toxic people is I can work on them in the hope that they will actually benefit from my presence. After all, if you consider some of the other videos on this website, and indeed one of the videos in relation to goal setting, we defined success in the context of one of the key points was our presence being of benefit to those around us. So that's what I'm talking about there. The other thing is, of course, that if these toxic people do not respond to your best efforts, and I use the word delicately because effort shouldn't really come into it. If I'm present, here I am. If people don't respond to my presence, then the other thing that you can do with toxic people is get rid of them out of your life. Now, there are some people who are married to or living with toxic people, and one would hope that they would attempt to take the first route, work with them to see if they can become all that they can be. But if there are people in your life who you can do without, or indeed who you should do without because they're literally sapping your energy, if you are being drained by toxic people, get rid of them. Be brutal, be forceful, let people know where they stand. Don't suffer fools lightly, and don't put up with people's inappropriate behaviour. Because every time somebody behaves inappropriately, it drops a bit of badness, a bit of poison into the big pool of wellness that we should all be swimming in all of the time. I hope I've answered that individual's questions, his request in relation to doing this video. And if you have any queries, obviously, you know where I am. Talk again next week.